The moment my wife Beverly looked across our kitchen table and said, "Arthur, I want a divorce and I'm taking everything," I felt like someone had just dropped a wrench into my carefully maintained engine. My name is Arthur Coleman, I'm 67 years old, and after 41 years of marriage, I thought I knew my wife pretty well. Turns out I was wrong about that. Beverly sat there in her Navy business suit, the one she wore to important meetings, with a folder of legal papers beside her coffee cup, like she was presenting a quarterly report. She wasn't emotional about it. She was businesslike, efficient, the way she handled everything else in our lives for the past decade. The house, the accounts, the retirement funds, she continued, tapping her manicured finger on the table. Gerald says it's all very straightforward. Gerald? So she'd already hired a lawyer. I wondered how long she'd been planning this conversation while I was downstairs in my workshop, rebuilding the transmission on our old Ford pickup. I stared at her, trying to process what was happening. This woman I'd built a life with, cooked breakfast for every Sunday morning for over 4 decades, was sitting there calmly dismantling everything we'd created together. The kitchen felt different suddenly, the cabinets I'd rebuilt from scratch 15 years ago when the originals warped from a pipe leak. The custom breakfast nook I'd designed and built with mortise and tenon joints that would last another century. The tile backsplash I'd installed myself, measuring every piece twice because Beverly wanted it perfect. "You're serious," I said. Beverly gave me that look she used to give junior executives who asked obvious questions. "Arthur, I've been planning this for months. While I was fixing the leaky faucet in the guest bathroom that she'd complained about for weeks, she was planning to take my house. While I was winterizing the garden beds and servicing the lawnmower, she was meeting with lawyers about how to divide up my life's work. I noticed she wasn't wearing her wedding ring. How long had that been gone? Had I been so focused on maintaining everything around here that I'd stopped noticing the woman I was maintaining it for? "And you believe the house is yours?" I asked. She leaned back with the confidence of someone who'd never been wrong about a business deal. "It's marital property, Arthur. Don't make this more complicated than it needs to be." I looked around our kitchen, every surface, every fixture, every detail bearing my fingerprints. The electrical work I'd rewired to bring everything up to modern code. The plumbing I'd rerouted when we remodeled. The flooring I'd installed myself, learning the technique from YouTube videos and getting it right on the 3rd try. "I see you've already filed," I said, nodding toward the folder. Beverly smiled, not the warm smile I remembered from our early years, but something sharper, more calculated. "Of course. Gerald says possession is 90% of the law and time is money." That's when I noticed something else on the table, minus a business card for Judith Morgan Real Estate. She wasn't just planning to take the house, she was planning to sell it. "You've already called a realtor," I said. "I'm being thorough, Arthur. Gerald says the faster we move on this, the cleaner. It'll be for everyone. Clean. Like 41 years of marriage was a mess that needed to be tidied up." Beverly stood up, smoothing her skirt with the practiced motion of someone used to ending meetings. "Judith will be by this afternoon to do a preliminary evaluation. Try to make a good impression." She grabbed her briefcase, the leather one I'd bought her for her promotion to senior vice president 5 years ago, and headed toward the garage. "Where are you going?" I asked. "To work, Arthur. Some of us still have careers." The door to the garage slammed shut. A moment later, I heard her BMW start up and pull out of the driveway. The house fell silent, except for the familiar sounds I knew by heart. The soft hum of the refrigerator compressor I'd replaced 3 years ago, the gentle tick of the grandfather clock I'd restored from a yard sale find, the almost imperceptible whistle of the heating system I'd upgraded to high efficiency last winter. I sat alone at the kitchen table for a long time, staring at the business card Beverly had left behind. Judith Morgan, Realtor. Making your dreams reality printed in script below her name. Apparently, Beverly's dream was selling the house I'd spent decades perfecting. I walked through the house slowly, seeing it differently now. The hardwood floors I'd refinished 3 times over the years, each time learning better techniques. The crown molding I'd installed room by room, mitering every corner by hand. The built-in bookshelves in the living room that I designed to match the architectural style of our 1960s ranch home. In the master bedroom, I paused at Beverly's dresser. Her jewelry box was gone. So were the family photos that used to sit there, pictures of us from vacations, anniversaries, holidays when we still looked happy together. When had she packed those away? How much of our shared life had she already erased before this morning's announcement? I went down to my workshop in the basement, needing the familiar comfort of my tools and projects. This was my sanctuary, the place where I'd spent thousands of hours over the decades, building, fixing, improving. The pegboard wall displayed my hand tools in perfect order. Chisels arranged by size, wrenches organized by type, measuring tools that had served me faithfully for 30 years. On the workbench sat my current project, A jewelry box I'd been making for Beverly's upcoming birthday. Figured maple with dovetail joints, lined with felt I'd special ordered from a craftsman supplier. I'd spent weeks getting the proportions right, the hinges perfectly balanced. Now it seemed like a cruel joke. That's when I remembered something Beverly had forgotten. Something from 12 years ago after her disastrous investment in that tech startup nearly bankrupted us. Something I'd done quietly, carefully, like everything else I'd ever built. I walked to the corner where I kept my file cabinets, fireproof ones I'd installed myself when I first set up the workshop. Inside the locked middle drawer was a folder Beverly had never seen, never asked about. Legal documents with official seals, signatures, and dates that suddenly became very important. The Coleman Engineering Trust. After Beverly lost $80,000 of our savings chasing some get-rich-quick scheme in 2012, I'd done what any good engineer does when they see a structural weakness. I'd reinforced the foundation. The state had a special program for licensed professional engineers, a property trust structure that protected our homes from future financial liabilities, recognizing that many of us used our residences as offices and workshops. I pulled out the thick folder and spread the documents across my workbench. There it all was. The original trust establishment papers, the property transfer documents, the engineering license verification, and most importantly, Beverly's signature on every page. She'd been sitting right next to me at the lawyer's office that day, but her phone kept buzzing with work calls. Some crisis with a product launch that needed her immediate attention. She'd glanced at the documents, seen words like property protection and asset security, and signed where the lawyer pointed without reading the details. She'd never bothered to ask what exactly an engineering property trust meant or why it was different from regular refinancing. Beverly had always been too busy with her career to worry about the technical details of our financial life. That was Arthur's department. She used to say, "The irony wasn't lost on me." Beverly made twice my salary as a senior marketing executive, but she'd signed away her claim to the house because she couldn't be bothered to read paperwork during a business call. I heard a car pull into our driveway and looked out the basement window. A silver sedan, Judith Morgan, the realtor, right on schedule. I climbed the stairs and watched through the front window as a professional-looking woman in her 40s stepped out of the car. She had that confident stride of someone who'd appraised 1,000 homes and could estimate property values at a glance. Beverly's BMW pulled in behind the realtor. She must have left work early for this appointment. I watched her greet Judith with the kind of enthusiastic handshake she used with important clients. I opened the front door before they could ring the bell. "Mr. Coleman?" Judith extended her hand. "I'm Judith Morgan. Your wife asked me to take a look at your beautiful home." "Come in," I said. "I'll try to stay out of your way." Beverly shot me a warning look. "Arthur's been doing some maintenance projects," she explained to Judith. "He tends to get a little obsessive about the details." Obsessive. 41 years of careful craftsmanship, and she called it obsessive. Judith pulled out her tablet and began the professional assessment. "How long have you lived here?" 41 years, I said. "Wow, that's wonderful. You don't see that kind of longevity much anymore." She examined the crown molding in our entryway. "This is beautiful workmanship." "Arthur did most of the renovations himself," Beverly said, in the tone people use when they're making polite conversation about someone's hobby. We walked through the living room where Judith admired the built-in bookcases I'd constructed to match the original architecture. She ran her fingers along the joints where I'd seamlessly blended new wood with old. "This is exceptional craftsmanship," she said. "You don't find quality like this in modern construction." Beverly remained silent, checking her phone periodically. In the kitchen, Judith spent several minutes examining the custom cabinetry. "Did you design this layout yourself, Mr. Coleman?" "Yes, after we had water damage from a pipe leak. I gutted the whole room and rebuilt it to be more functional. The engineering is impressive. These cabinets will last decades." We moved through the dining room where I'd restored the original hardwood floors and into the hallway where I'd installed period-appropriate wainscoting. Judith took photos and made notes on her tablet. When we reached my workshop in the basement, she stopped completely. "This is incredible," she said, looking around at my tool organization. The lumber storage system I'd built, the dust collection setup I'd engineered for my woodworking equipment. "This is a professional-grade workshop. Arthur was an engineer before he retired." Beverly explained, "He likes to tinker." Tinkering, there was that word again. 40 years of systematic improvement, careful planning, and skilled execution, and my wife called it tinkering. "This adds significant value to the property," Judith told Beverly. "A workshop like this is a major selling point for the right buyer." Back upstairs, Judith completed her notes. "I'll have a comprehensive market analysis ready by Friday," she promised Beverly. "Based on comparable sales and the extensive improvements, I'm thinking this property will appraise very favorably." After Judith left, Beverly lingered in the kitchen looking satisfied. "Well, that went perfectly," she said. Judith thinks we'll do very well on the sale. Sale, I repeated. Arthur, we discussed this. The house needs to be sold so we can divide the assets fairly. I nodded. And you're certain the house is available to sell? Beverly gave me that exasperated look again. Arthur, we've been through this. It's marital property. Gerald explained it all to me. Gerald's smart, I agreed. Did he review all the property documents before giving you that advice? Beverly frowned. What documents? The ownership papers, the trust paperwork? All those legal details Gerald probably wants to verify before filing anything official. For the first time since this conversation started, Beverly looked uncertain. What documents? Beverly asked, and I could hear the first crack in her confidence. Beverly, when we protected the house after your tech investment went south, there was quite a bit of paperwork involved. Legal structures, trust agreements, property transfers. I'm just wondering if Gerald has reviewed all of that before advising you about the sale. Beverly's frown deepened. That was just refinancing paperwork, Arthur, to protect us from creditors after I made that mistake, right? I said protection paperwork. Did you keep copies? That's your department. You handle all the property files? I nodded slowly. You might want to mention to Gerald that there could be some additional documentation he should review, just to be thorough. Beverly stared at me for a long moment, trying to read something in my expression. After 41 years, she should have known better than anyone when I was being carefully diplomatic, but Beverly had gotten used to dismissing the details I worried about. Fine, she said finally. I'll ask Gerald to double-check everything, but Arthur, this doesn't change anything. The house still needs to be sold. That night, I couldn't sleep. I walked through our house in the dark, my feet finding their way automatically along paths I'd walked for decades. In the living room, moonlight came through the windows I'd replaced with energy-efficient models 8 years ago. The hardwood floors didn't creak. I'd eliminated every squeak when I refinished them. I thought about the early years, when Beverly and I were a team, when she'd hold flashlights for me while I rewired outlets or helped me measure twice before I cut once. Back when she appreciated the work that went into making a house a home, the change had been gradual. As Beverly climbed the corporate ladder, she'd become less interested in the domestic details. Home became the place she came to rest between business trips and late meetings. My projects became background noise to her increasingly important career. I wasn't bitter about her success. I was proud of what she'd accomplished. But somewhere along the way, Beverly had started measuring everything by its financial value rather than the effort that went into it. My careful craftsmanship became tinkering. My workshop became Arthur's hobby room. The house I'd spent decades perfecting became just another asset to be liquidated. The next morning, Beverly left early for a breakfast meeting. I made coffee and sat at the kitchen table, looking out at the backyard I'd landscaped myself. The deck I'd designed and built to Beverly's specifications, complete with built-in planters and proper drainage. The garden beds where I'd amended the soil and installed irrigation systems so Beverly could have the flower garden she'd always wanted. Around 10 a.m., I drove to Marilyn Foster's law office downtown. Marilyn was a property attorney I'd known for 15 years, ever since I'd helped her husband rebuild their deck after a storm damaged it. She had the kind of practical legal mind that cut through complications to find sensible solutions. Arthur Coleman, she said when her secretary showed me in. I haven't seen you since you fixed Jim's workshop ventilation. What brings you here? I handed her the folder from my file cabinet. I need you to review some documents. Marilyn opened the folder and began reading carefully, really reading, not the way Beverly had skimmed through everything years ago. She took her time with each page, occasionally making notes on a legal pad. This is very thorough work, she said after several minutes. Who prepared the original trust structure? Peterson and Associates. They handled the engineering professional trust program. Marilyn nodded, good firm. They know property law. She flipped to the next section. Your wife signed all the transfer documents. She was sitting right next to me. Had some work crisis on her phone, but she signed everything. And she understood what she was signing. I thought about that day 12 years ago. Beverly's impatient sighs every time the lawyer tried to explain something. Her dismissive wave when he offered to review each document section. Her irritated just show me where to sign, I have a conference call in 20 minutes. She had every opportunity to read the documents, I said carefully. Marilyn smiled slightly. That's not exactly the same thing, is it? No, but it's what matters legally. She closed the folder. Arthur, your wife can certainly try to claim the house in divorce proceedings. She's entitled to legal representation and her day in court. But she's going to face some significant obstacles. The Coleman Engineering Trust isn't just a piece of paper. It's a legally binding structure that transferred ownership and control of the property. The house isn't technically available for standard marital asset division. I felt something loosen in my chest that I hadn't even realized was tight. So the trust protects the property. The trust doesn't just protect it, Arthur. According to these documents, you have exclusive authority as trustee to determine the future use, sale, or retention of the property, meaning your wife can't force a sale without your consent. And if she tries to challenge the trust in court, she'll have to prove it was established fraudulently or under duress. Marilyn leaned back in her chair. Given that she signed everything voluntarily and had legal representation present, that's going to be very difficult to prove. We talked for another hour about legal strategy and potential complications. Marilyn agreed to represent me if Beverly followed through on the divorce proceedings. More importantly, she confirmed what I'd hoped but hadn't dared to believe. The house I'd spent 41 years improving wasn't going anywhere without my permission. When I got home, Beverly's car was in the driveway. I found her in the kitchen, on the phone with someone, her voice tense. "What do you mean you need to review additional documentation?" She was saying, "Gerald, I hired you because you said this would be straightforward." She looked up when I walked in, covering the phone with her hand. "Gerald wants to see the property files," she said, "all the refinancing paperwork from 2012. "Do you know where that is?" I nodded toward my workshop. "It's all filed downstairs. I can get it for him." Beverly looked relieved. "See? Arthur will get you everything you need," she said into the phone. "How long will this delay things?" I couldn't hear Gerald's response, but Beverly's expression changed as he spoke. "What do you mean potentially significant complications?" The next week moved like a slow-motion disaster for Beverly. Gerald requested meeting after meeting, each one leaving her more frustrated and confused. I watched her confidence erode day by day as she realized her straightforward divorce was becoming anything but simple. "Gerald says there might be some complications with the property division," she told me over dinner one night, picking at her salad. "Something about the trust structure being more complex than he initially thought." I nodded sympathetically. "Legal paperwork can be tricky. He wants to bring in a specialist, someone who understands property trusts." Beverly looked across the table at me. "Arthur, what exactly did we sign back in 2012? "Protection documents," I said. "After you lost the money on that startup, remember? We needed to make sure the house couldn't be touched by creditors if anything else went wrong. But it was just temporary protection, right?" I met her eyes. "You might want to ask Gerald about the specific terms. I'm sure he'll explain everything once he's had time to review all the documentation." 3 weeks later, we sat in a courthouse that smelled like old paper and floor wax. Beverly wore her most expensive business suit, navy blue, with subtle pinstripes that cost more than most people's monthly salary. She'd had her hair done that morning and carried herself with the posture of someone accustomed to winning important meetings. Gerald Mitchell sat beside her, looking less confident than he had when this all started. The folder in front of him was much thicker now, and I could see yellow sticky notes marking dozens of pages. I sat next to Marilyn, who carried a simple manila folder and looked completely calm. She'd worn a conservative gray suit and had her reading glasses hanging from a chain around her neck. Everything about her suggested competence without flash. Judge Roland Hayes reviewed the initial filings with the patient expression of someone who'd presided over hundreds of divorce cases. When he looked up, Gerald cleared his throat and began his presentation. "Your Honor, this case involves the division of marital assets accumulated over 41 years of marriage. The primary asset is the couple's residence, which Mrs. Coleman believes should be sold and proceeds divided equitably." Beverly squeezed Gerald's arm encouragingly. Despite the weeks of complications, she still seemed to believe they'd find a way to get what she wanted. Judge Hayes nodded. That would be the standard approach for marital property. However, Gerald continued, and I could hear the reluctance in his voice. There appear to be some complicating factors regarding the property ownership structure. That's when Marilyn stood up. "Your Honor, if I may," she said politely, "there is indeed a significant complication. The Coleman residence is not available for standard marital division because it was transferred into a trust structure 12 years ago." She placed a document on the table. Gerald's face went pale as he recognized paperwork he'd been studying for weeks. "The Coleman Engineering Trust," Marilyn continued, "was established in 2012 with Mr. Coleman as the controlling trustee. Mrs. Coleman signed all transfer documents voluntarily." The courtroom got very quiet. Beverly stared at the papers like they might suddenly change into something she could understand. "This can't be right," she whispered, loud enough for everyone to hear. Judge Hayes examined the trust documents carefully, taking his time with each page. The silence stretched out until I could hear the ventilation system humming overhead. "Mr. Mitchell," the judge said finally, "were you aware of this trust arrangement when you filed the initial divorce petition?" Gerald looked like a man who'd just discovered his GPS had been giving him wrong directions for 300 miles. "Your Honor, we've been reviewing these documents for several weeks. The trust structure is more comprehensive than we initially understood." "What does that mean?" Beverly demanded, forgetting courtroom protocol. Judge Hayes looked directly at her. Mrs. Coleman, it means the house you're trying to divide was legally transferred into a trust 12 years ago. You signed the documents authorizing that transfer. That was refinancing paperwork. Beverly protested. No, ma'am, Marilyn said calmly. Those were trust establishment documents that transferred ownership and control of the property to the Coleman Engineering Trust with your husband as trustee. Beverly turned to Gerald with a look of pure betrayal. You said this was straightforward. Gerald loosened his tie. Mrs. Coleman, property law can be complex, especially when professional trusts are involved. Judge Hayes consulted the documents again. According to the trust agreement, Mr. Coleman has exclusive authority to determine the future use, sale, or retention of the property. The house cannot be sold or transferred without his consent as trustee. The words hit Beverly like a physical blow. She sat back in her chair, staring at me as if I'd just performed a magic trick. So he gets the whole house? She asked weakly. The trust controls the house. Judge Hayes corrected. And Mr. Coleman controls the trust. Beverly looked around the courtroom desperately, seeking some authority figure who might override this impossible reality. But there was only the judge, the lawyers, and 12 years of legal paperwork that she'd signed without reading. This is insane, she said, her voice rising. I lived in that house for 41 years. Yes, ma'am, Marilyn replied respectfully. You lived there as a beneficiary of the trust, which allowed you full use and enjoyment of the property. But the trust structure protected the asset from exactly the kind of division being sought here. Gerald shuffled through his papers one last time, looking for some legal loophole that might save his client's case. There wasn't one. Judge Hayes closed the file. The residence will remain under the control of the Coleman Engineering Trust. We can proceed with division of the remaining marital assets. When we walked out of that courthouse, Beverly was a completely different person than the confident executive who'd sat across from me in our kitchen weeks ago. Gerald was already talking about reassessing our strategy for the remaining assets, but we both knew the game was over. Beverly had spent months planning to take everything. She'd hired an expensive lawyer, scheduled property appraisals, and probably already picked out her new condo downtown. What she'd never considered was that the quiet engineer she'd been married to for 41 years might have been planning too. Not for divorce, I'd never wanted that. But for protection, for the day when someone might try to take away the house I'd spent 4 decades building, improving, and perfecting. I stood on those courthouse steps, breathing the fresh autumn air, and felt something I hadn't felt in months: peace. The house was safe. Every room I'd renovated, every system I'd upgraded, every improvement I'd made with my own hands, it was all still mine. Beverly moved out the following week. The house has never been quieter or more peaceful than it is now. Sometimes the most powerful weapon against someone who underestimates you is simply letting them underestimate you, while you quietly prepare for the moment when preparation meets opportunity. In marriage, as in engineering, it's not about who makes the most noise or earns the biggest paycheck. It's about who pays attention to the details that really matter when everything else falls apart.